Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, it's Mark Hayward here, not Chris Howells, as is on the menu, but he'll speak to you in a few minutes. First of all, I hope you had a good half term and you've spent some time relaxing with family, friends, as much as you can do. Today is about Year 8 to Year 9 GCSE choices. As you'll be aware, at the Royal here, we have a Year 9, 10 and 11 GCSE programme. That enables us to have a breadth and a depth to our curriculum that means that you're more likely to be successful towards the end of those courses, and gives you the opportunity and your teachers the opportunity to broaden the aspects that they study rather than stick doggedly to those curriculum areas. So lots of people get really worried about at this time in terms of the GCSEs I take now are going to be really critical to my career and life choices beyond. What I would say is actually in the fullness of life, when you come to A-levels and degree and apprenticeships and work, they're not going to matter that much. You will still be doing your two Englishes, literature and language. You'll be doing your mathematics and you'll be doing your three sciences. So those core subjects that everybody needs to acquire, you will be doing. And there's no problem with those and your curriculum will follow on. So for the other four choices that you've got, some of them are going to be about playing to your strengths. Some of them are about the ones that you enjoy, because you need to enjoy those subjects. They are the wild cards that you can add some colour to your experience. So if you like geography, follow geography, and it's not going to close any doors down. And the key thing is that even if you wanted to study medicine or law or any of the high demand university courses later on, what you choose in addition to your English, maths and sciences are not really going to determine your future choices. It won't even sometimes determine your A-level choices. So many people, geography is my subject, as I'm sure you know, and if you could study A-level geography not having done GCSE. So some courses are good to start in the sixth form that you can't study at GCSE. So ultimately, the summary of that is go for the ones that you enjoy already, and the ones where you have good relationships with your teachers, the ones that you find perhaps a bit more straightforward and want to study at greater depth, and the ones that if you are thinking of a particular career or have a particular interest, that you can follow. What is evident, and Mr. Howells will talk more about this later on, is actually what you get from your GCSEs is a series of grades, 9 grades on a piece of paper. But that's not the summary of you as an individual or a person. And what you have an opportunity at here at the Royal is the enrichment, period 7, and a range of activities and opportunities. We've got the CCF, we've got sport, music, drama, and a whole range of other things. And Mr. Howell's got some really exciting developments about police cadets starting as another leadership and teamwork opportunity. In the fullness of time, once you've gone through your GCSEs up to 16, you've then taken your courses up until 18, and then you think of university, you think of work or apprenticeships. At the end of all of that, what will matter most is about your character. So your GCSE choices now, they're not that crucial. They're important, and it's good to make good choices for you as an individual, but it isn't going to determine your long-term career. Those are already set in place, and you can adjust and change and flex that as you go through. What you decide in your choices when Mrs. Hale shares with you those options will not determine necessarily your future. They might, but equally they might not. The route to careers is very circuitous. It's sinuous. It follows lots of different pathways. It's not linear as it was for me, and I'm probably the least exciting of people that I went to school. I studied geography. I went to university to study geography. I taught geography for a long period of time. That's rare nowadays, and most people have a flexible career where they move from one interest area to another. And we need to prepare you for that. And that isn't just about your GCSEs. It's about your enrichment. It's about the leadership opportunities you take. It's about the teamwork opportunities. And all of those things happen outside of the classroom, in Duke of Edinburgh Award, in the CCF, in activities, in sports, music, playing in an orchestra, singing in a choir, taking part in leadership activities. Those things happen outside of the classroom as much as they happen inside. So all I want you to do is to think about this in a positive way. What subjects can I choose that I currently enjoy, or that actually I want to start, that I haven't had an opportunity to look at before? And there are some of those in there, such as business studies, sociology perhaps, and things that have a bit of an interest. So over the next few weeks, it's about looking for opportunities to do a bit of research, take an interest in yourself and what you might want to do in the future, knowing that whatever you choose, it's not going to be limiting. It's not going to set a ceiling on what you can achieve. That's for us together to work at, to make sure that you can actually make the best of your skills and aptitudes. You'll also notice that there are Btex in there, which involve more ongoing assessment rather than terminal examinations. And that might suit you better into your particular assessment style and working with staff in a different way. So it all adds up to a really interesting choice for you. And I would urge you to kind of spend some time, talk with your parents and guardians and carers, and making sure you talk to the staff too, and get their opinion, because they're hugely experienced in helping youngsters, such as yourself, make choices that are going to be interesting, fulfilling, and enable you to kind of show us what you can do. And I think that's a really exciting opportunity. It's not seen as a limiting problem and as something of a challenge and do I do A or B? Because many of you are talented in all areas. So actually there's going to be no poor choice, and it's just for you to consider. You've got some time to do your research and to find out which subjects are going to suit you best. But at the moment, I think it's just listen to Mr. Howells, listen to Mrs. Hale. They've got some advice for you as well. But mine is keep your options open. Do things you enjoy, do things you're successful at already, and use these as opportunities to show what you can really do and how far you can really go. And I think then you'll have a rewarding and fulsome choice of GCSEs. Thank you. I'll hand over to Mr. Howells now, and I very much look forward in due course, once we hear the information this evening, to welcoming you all back to school. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very so much for joining us this afternoon to talk about the Year 8 into 9 options. It is quite an exciting time to be a youngster, where you get to map out those subjects that you want to carry on studying and those that you're going to disregard. And it is quite a challenging time. As Mr. Hayward said, lots of thought has to go into the process of choosing the correct subject. And a couple of key points really that I want to just pick up from Mr. Hayward is, if you go through Key Stage 4 and into Key Stage 5 and you realise that you want to choose a career that needs a specific subject that you haven't studied at Key Stage 4, that is not a problem. So if you want to pick something new at A level that you've not studied for GCSE, that will not be a problem. That is not an issue. We can support people with those choices. We hope that you found all the information on the school website very useful in terms of our subject videos, the talks from key members of staff, along with the subject and the way they link to different careers and options and reasons why you should choose those subjects. Once I finish doing my little talk on lesson 7 and careers, I'll hand over to Mrs. Hale and we'll go through some processes with the options evening, as well as some question and answers. Regarding careers, it's quite important that we help guide and support youngsters in making the correct decisions. And that does start with selecting the right subjects. A lot of students won't know what they want to do in terms of a career at this age, which is perfectly fine. Our job is to help them make informed decisions when they move through Key Stage 4, Key Stage 5, and then life beyond the Royal, and supporting them with the career choices. And we have lots of different activities and support we put into place to help our youngsters. So when your son, your daughter, when they come back to school, we'll already have a whole host of different workshops and seminars lined up to help with careers education. And one of the things that we're going to start with in April is a whole bank and a whole force of employers coming to school, and they spend the day working with Year 8 students, talking to them about employability skills and doing some little tasks. It just gives students an opportunity to think about those careers, the skills that are needed in order to be successful within those jobs. As students move throughout Year 9, 10 and 11, throughout the key stage, they have access to an impartial careers advisor at any point. And those appointments can be made through myself, and discussions can be made about options in terms of subjects, pathways relating to that career that students want to pursue. We often say to students a good starting point is doing the research, as Mr. Hayward alluded to, and something we direct students to is a platform called Launch Your Career. And Launch Your Career gives students an opportunity to do some research on tens of thousands of different jobs in various different sectors, looking at labour market information such as job growth, pay, where the jobs are currently, all the qualifications and skills needed to get into that job sector. It also links to the universities that offer the courses needed to get into that job. There's also live apprenticeship information on that website and platform, which students do find very useful. As we move through Key Stage 4, we have a whole host of workshops, seminars, people coming in to talk to our youngsters about the world of work and the skills needed to be successful in employment. And that may look like careers fairs, trips for university, apprenticeship and careers fairs. We have workshops on CV writing, letter of application writing. We do mock interviews, we do group interviews. So there's an awful lot that we work on with students to get them prepared for life beyond the Royal. And that continues into year 12 and year 13 as well, where we make sure students are ready and prepared to leave the Royal for work, university, in good stead. So in terms of lesson 7, as Mr. Hayward said earlier, we do an awful lot to prepare students with their softer skills, and that's really important. Our philosophy and our sort of ethos is developing students ready for the world of work and not just putting all the emphasis on academic outcomes. That only makes up part of the person that goes into the world of work. It's all about the softer skills and developing them for work. So just on reflection and moving forward for our lesson 7 activities, we're going to be running a whole host of different leadership activities, sports leaders, leadership within science, maths and English. Mr. Hayward spoke about the police cadets that are up and running. So they're going to start this week. So if anybody is interested still in taking part in the police cadets scheme, please let me know via email. We can assign you to the police cadets. But there's lots of opportunity through CCF, D&V, representing the school in music, drama, sports, that will enhance those softer skills that employers are looking for, that universities are looking for, that colleges are looking for. So everything we're talking about today in terms of options, looking forward for the rest of this year and into Key Stage 4 is all about making sure students are well prepared for life beyond education at the Royal. One last thing before I pass on to Mrs. Hale is making sure that students make the right choices and really take their subjects seriously. We have a number of students who aspire to go to Oxford or Cambridge. They do really, really well at A-levels, they get their A's, their B's, but sometimes what has let them down are their Gcse results. They don't quite get in the old school A's or currently 9s or 8s. So it's really important from September in year 9 that students work incredibly hard and are dedicated to their learning to make sure they get the best possible grades to get to top universities such as Oxford and Cambridge. What I'll do now is I'll hand over to Mrs. Hale, who will talk about the options process, and we'll go through the frequently asked questions.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome to our question and answer session. Just going to go through some of the questions and answers. If you just bear with me for one moment, I can see that we've got some people in the waiting.
Yes, Miss Hale, we've got some parents waiting to be let in, please.
Yeah, I'm just seeing. I can just see that
thank you.
just letting them all in. Thank you. Okay then, thank you to the parents who've just joined. Apologies that we didn't let you in sooner. We've only just noticed that we had some more waiting. We have recorded the session and we'll be publishing the link so you can watch the session later. I've got a number of questions that people have sent in to me, which I'll answer now. And then if you've got any additional questions, if you can use the raise your hand function, and then I'll try and come round to each of you to ask your question. Okay, the first question was, how many subjects will students study? Students will study 9 GCSE subjects in total. Just bear with me, I'm just trying to let people in. That will be English language and English literature, maths, a double science award, and then 4 other options, okay? Another question, do students still do PE? Yes, they do. They will have a games afternoon each week, so they have a double game session in terms of PE. The next question was, can my child do a combination of Btex and GCSEs? Yes, they can. A combination is a great way of managing workload, because with the Btex subjects, there's a lot of internal ongoing assignments, coursework as such, and that really helps manage workload, particularly towards the end when they do external exams. Next question was, what are the differences between GCSE and Btec level qualifications? The level is exactly the same. They're all level 2 qualifications. In terms of the GCSE, it's usually a lot of the percentage of the assessment is based on an exam. In Btec, at least 50% of the assessment will be internal assignments like coursework, and 50% will be an external assessment, such as an exam. And with a Btec, with a Btec course, you can actually do these assessments at different points. So it might well be that in the January of year 11, they might have some Btec exams, and then that sort of breaks it up, breaks up the course in terms of those assessments. But they're all valid courses, they're all level 2 courses, and they're all accepted into A levels. The next one is, what support will the school be offering for pupils to help them catch up on year 8 work they've missed out on and should have prepared them for GCSE study? Well, as you know, lessons have continued throughout this lockdown, and I must say that we're really impressed with the engagement of pupils and the work that they have been sending into school. Of course, doesn't replace face-to-face teaching, and as soon as we know more details this evening about the return to school, we can then start to plan for making sure pupils have got all that essential knowledge that they need to embark upon their GCSE courses. Next question, what support will my child receive in relation to intervention to help with maths and English, and will intervention continue and fit into the GCSE timetable? Now, you can, some students can select literacy as an option within our option system, and literacy actually covers literacy and numeracy, and that's additional lessons of English and maths. So rather than gaining 9 GCSEs at the end of year 11, students would gain 8 GCSEs because they would have the extra 3 lessons that they would pick for literacy to focus upon maths and English. Now, a number of students are already doing that option because they may well have dropped a language. So I know that a number of students are already doing that, and that's absolutely fine to continue. So that is available. As well as we do sort of after school interventions as part of period 7 when students really need it. But we do really try and keep our period 7 in terms of a focus on enrichment. The next question, when is the new deadline for option choices to be submitted, and how and where do we send choices in? This afternoon, I have sent all pupils an email telling them how to do their choices. There is a link in the email that I sent to all pupils' school email addresses, and that will take them to a Microsoft form. On the Microsoft form, they pick their 4 choices. The full list is available for them to choose from. I'm asking for them to pick those 4 choices by Wednesday, because then that will give us some time to construct the option blocks and make sure that we can cater for pupils' choices. As I said in the information video that we did for the options evening, we cater our curriculum around pupil choice. So if we need to put extra classes on for something, then we will do. And so that this is just the first round of options, the straw poll as we call it, and pupils have been sent a link. They just click the link and pick their 4 choices on there. What are the option blocks? Well, I will decide those option blocks once we've got all those choices in. As I said, we decide that around pupil choice. If there are any issues with the options that pupils have picked and I can't fit them into the blocks, I then contact those pupils individually to discuss that. The next question, what will happen if my child doesn't get their first choice of subjects? As discussed, I can't guarantee that we can get 100% of first choices. We normally do pretty high percentage, but sometimes some pupils just pick a combination that we just can't get to work. I will contact those pupils individually if that is the case. What will happen if my child chooses a subject but doesn't like it once they start? That's not a problem either. We allow pupils until the end of September in year 9 to swap their option. We try and ask pupils to make a final decision before the end of September, because if they do swap, they then got 4 weeks worth of work to catch up on. Anything further than that, they're going to find it more difficult to catch up. But it's not a problem to swap a subject as long as there's space in the class. But I do ask for a letter from parents if pupils want to change a subject. So a letter from parents or an email from parents to myself in terms of subject swaps. Next question, there are some subjects that are new to Key Stage 4 that my child hasn't studied. How will they know if it's a good subject for them to study? Well, we have put those option videos down out there on the school website for parents and pupils to view. When we return back to school, you can contact the teachers. You can contact the teachers via email if you'd like any additional advice. And then there's the wealth of websites that Mr. Howells has talked about as well, which can help select whether a subject is suitable for your child to study. The next question, do students have to study a language? No, they don't. We don't make students study a language. However, universities, employers do look upon that favourably, but it is not an essential requirement to study a language. That's a pupil choice. And then a final question about PE being a Btec and not a GCSE. So we have moved to Btec Sport from GCSE PE, but we understand that the different courses might suit different pupils. The Btec Sport, as I've said before, is really focused upon internal assignments, whereas the GCSE PE really focuses in on particular sports. So what I've done on the options for pupils to pick, they can pick GCSE PE or Btec Sport, and I will see what the interest levels are like when I analyse what pupils have picked, and then we'll get in touch with parents then. Anything more on GCSE PE and Btec Sport, or did I get that right, Mr. Howells? Okay. I'm going to hand over to you now. If you would like to ask a question, if you can raise your hand or drop it in the chat, and I can answer any questions that you have. Right, can I come to Rebecca first?
Please, can my child do 2 Btec subjects, like Btec course, like let's say sports and vocational?
Yes, that wouldn't be a problem at all. You can choose a range of Btecs or GCSEs, or all Btecs or all GCSEs. That's not a problem at all.
So if they choose to do that, how many GCSE are they supposed to choose as well? Or is it just going to be just the Btec?
They choose 4 options. So the 4 options include both GCSEs and Btec subjects. So if they wanted to do 2 GCSEs and 2 Btecs, or 1 GCSE and 3 Btecs, that's absolutely fine as long as we can fit it into our option block system.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I move to Simi next?
Hi. We've done the straw poll. When do we know for certain what options they've been given or granted?
Okay, so I'm hoping that before Easter I'll be able to get back to you in terms of those options. Once I've got all that information in from you by Wednesday, Thursday, I'll start input it into our computer, and that works out our best option block system. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to confirm everything before Easter for you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I come to Anoop next, please? I can't see any other hands up. Maximum subjects that my child can choose as a whole, I can see in the chat. 4 subjects.
Put my hand back.
Sorry, whoever that was, could you just unmute and ask your question?
Hi, I just wanted to ask, can you choose double science or do you have to choose triple science? And how does that affect the number of GCSEs you still got to choose, number of options?
Okay, thank you. Double science, everybody would study. You would only do triple science if you chose that as one of the 4 GCSE options. So in terms of the double science, you still study all 3 sciences, biology, chemistry and physics. In double science, you'd have 2 lessons of physics, 2 lessons of biology and 2 lessons of chemistry. If you were to choose the triple science option, which would be one of your 4 options, you would then have 3 lessons of physics, 3 lessons of chemistry and 3 lessons of biology.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Right, I'm just monitoring the chat box to have a look at what we've got. Excuse me. GCSE, PE and Btec sport, that would be a no. You would need to choose one or the other. I wouldn't recommend choosing both because that's really narrowing down your options. Maximum subjects my child can choose as a whole, that would be 4 options that you need to choose. If my daughter chooses GCSE PE, but there are not enough people, will she automatically go to Btec Sports? She doesn't want to miss out completely. That would be a discussion that I would contact you to have. I would just check that students wanted to do that swap. Does my child have to do 9? No, they don't. They can pick the literacy option, which would then give additional English and maths support, and that would reduce down to 8. If 8 is too many, then we can make an individual plan for children who may require that additional layer of support. That's not a problem. Vicky, I can see you've got a question here. Not sure how to raise my hand. Do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Thank you. Sorry about that, Mrs. Hale. Will all the practical subjects end up in this same block? So like DT and home ec? I'm just thinking because of spreading out coursework to 100% exams.
I don't know. It depends on what students choose. So once I've inputted all of the straw poll choices into our option system then calculates the best percentage of students getting their first choice. So I won't specifically be putting all practical subjects into the same block. It might end up that way. I don't know until those options are processed. Sorry, that's not directly answering your question.
That's fine, thank you.
Okay. Can they do more than 4 choices if they wish? I wouldn't recommend doing more than 4 choices. That's not something that we can support really in school because you have to do a recommended guided learning hours for each GCSE, and the focus is about quality, not quantity. So we really want to focus students upon getting the best grades that they possibly can in those subjects, and that's what universities are looking for as well. It's not about how many subjects you've got, it's about how good your grades are in those subjects. I can see that Shupi has got a hand up. If you want to ask your question.
Yes, thanks, Mrs. Hale. My question is further clarity concerning the difference between double science and triple science. Is it just a question of them with double having less lessons but sitting the same exams as those that do triple, or is the curriculum slightly different for double science?
Yeah, the curriculum is slightly different. So for double science, at the end of the GCSEs, they sit 2 papers for each discipline. So they to gain the double science award in total, they would sit 6 exams, 2 biology, 2 chemistry, 2 physics. Whereas if they choose triple science, they would sit more exams because there's more content. So they would sit a paper 3 in addition to the paper 1 and 2. So it is a lot more content. A lot of the triple science covers part of the A level as well. So if you know that your child is really set on doing A level sciences, triple science might give them a bit of an advantage. Double science would still be valid in terms of getting onto A level science, as long as they get that grade 6 is what we look for entry onto A level maths and science courses. So as long as you know they've got those good grades in double science, that's fine. But triple science does give that little bit of an advantage because they would have studied more content.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. If I can come to Amira next, please. I can see that you've got your hand up.
Hello. And I'm just asking, I did do a chat, I'm not sure if it was misunderstood. Amira definitely wants to do PE, but if we choose to do GCSE PE and there's not enough people, would she have lost her place, or would she automatically go to Btec, which she wants to do PE, so whichever one it ends up as?
What I would do in that case, I would contact pupils individually to ask them. It's not a case of losing spaces or anything like that at this point. It's just trying to sort out which options that pupils want to do.
Right, so sorry. So by doing GCSE, she's not putting herself at risk, is what I'm saying?
No, not at all. It's very flexible at this point. And this first round of options really is about me constructing those option blocks. And like I said, pupils can change their mind all the way up until the end of September. So nothing is set in stone at this point.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'm just going back to the chat, just bear with me. So looking at the chat, so how many elective subjects, how many core subjects can they choose? Core subjects are all compulsory. That's English language, English literature, maths and double science. And then pupils choose 4 options in addition to that. In regards to languages, my daughter wants to do German. However, this is currently not on offer. It is on offer. German is an option. Bear with me just one moment. No, students have only got the option this year of doing French and Spanish because we didn't do German this year. If we get enough students, we could possibly put German on. I'll be able to make a decision on that once we've got the straw poll in. Has the straw poll been sent to all parents? No, it's not been sent to parents at all. It's been sent to pupils. It's on the pupil email address because pupils need to click onto the straw poll using their school email address because then that logs their names against their options for me. So it hasn't been sent to parents. This Wednesday, my child has chose initial options. It means she'll have to do them until next September in year 9. Then she wants to change them and she can only change then. We don't make any changes to the curriculum at this point. All students would continue with their normal timetable until the end of the academic year. Pupils, even if they don't choose a subject, they would still need to complete their Key Stage 3 programmes of study. Okay, I'm just monitoring to see if we've got any more questions. If anyone else has got a question, please raise your hand. Okay, well, I hope you found that useful. Please do contact me myself. I'm lh@theroyal.school or Mr. Howells, he's ch@theroyal.school. If you've got any further questions that you'd like to ask, or I can just see that a hand has gone up. No, I'm mistaken. Okay then, if that's it then, thank you ever so much. Mr. Howells, anything further from you?
No, just thank you very so much for attending. Hope it's been useful. and we look forward to seeing your sons and daughters back with us very soon.
We certainly do. Fingers crossed for that government announcement this afternoon. Thank you all. We will post out to all parents via email the link so you can watch this at a later date. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you all.